I'm going to show you my before and after, and I think that the results are actually quite telling. This is week 10 to 12 of my hypopressive training journey and also the final chapter. Welcome back. My name is Ellie and I am 6 months postpartum and I'm currently trying to regain control of my body after birth and a lot of grief. And honestly, having finished up the hypopressive training program, I feel very proud. Not because it's been particularly perfect, but because I stayed consistent even when it felt tiring or when it felt heavy and when it felt hard to prioritize having an infant baby at home. Now, looking back at these past few weeks, one thing has become really clear to me, and that is it is not about doing more, but more about doing things differently. In week 10, I was reminded how very important it is to release tension in my body in order to do any of this. I joined one of the Hypo Gold sessions, the group sessions online, and I was reminded how to do the apneas that is connected to this way of training. That was very, very helpful. And it really clicked for me that if I hold tension in other parts of my body, like my shoulders, my chest, and my back, I'm limiting my effect. And I kind of wish that I was reminded this a little earlier, however, it's better late than never. So that's when I started focusing more on full body tension release. I was actually mostly doing the under rib release, which was not enough. So happy I started doing that, because now I sense a difference in both my upper body and also my pelvic floor. Week 11 came around and I felt stronger because I could really feel the activation in my sessions. You know, that deep internal lift from below. But I also noticed something really important, that if I had slept poorly, which I do a lot with an infant, the quality of the session drops dramatically. And so instead of, pushing for perfection, I was mostly focused on just showing up for myself and going through the sessions as I had planned and as best as I could. Going through this program was always about trying to get myself to another level of, control after giving birth and horrible, horrible grief. And that means showing up for myself at the worst days. It's never been about impressing you or showing some sort of results, trying to, in order to try to prove that this is a great way of training, which I obviously really do think it is, but it is so important for me to measure the results based on what I've actually done and the true timeline. But more than anything, I feel like I understand my body differently now, which is cool. Now, what has changed and what hasn't? This hasn't been a dramatic transformation. I'm not gonna say it has. I'm not suddenly fixed after 12 weeks and everything is not perfect. But things in my body feels a lot more connected, less tense, more responsive. I don't pee my pants when I sneeze or cough, and I don't feel uncomfortable going to the bathroom. Things feel subjectively better. And that, to me, feels more important than quick results. I'm going to show you my before and after, and I think that the results are actually quite telling. Now, here is my before pictures. I'm not going to go into specifics on my results, but you can probably tell from this after picture that there is a difference. Now, side by side, you can tell that there is a physical difference, and you can probably see, my whole vibe, really. I can also tell you that I am able to connect more to my muscles, and I have less diastases, and I have less uterine prolapse, which is great. I do still have quite a lot of rectocele, But this is not done overnight, and I'm still very, very, very happy with the results. And I will be working out like this moving forward as well. Now, my 3 most important tips. So if you're considering trying hypopressive training, these are the things that I feel are the most important and that I've really learned from this. Number 1, don't skip the release work. The tension release work has to stay. Now, releasing tension is basically just as important as the breathing itself, because if your body is holding tension, like I said, it is much harder to get the full effect. So those 12 weeks will be a lot longer mentally. Number 2, consistency matters more than perfection. Some sessions will feel a lot better than others, especially if you're tired and overwhelmed, but showing up anyway is what counts. Tip number 3, don't rush the process. This method builds over time. It is so subtle, it's ridiculous, but it all adds up. You need to trust that what feels small is still something. For me, this has also been a lot bigger than training. After everything my body has been through with pregnancy, loss, and then carrying life again, this has been a way to rebuild a sense of safety in my body. And that has not been by pushing harder, but just listening more. So this is the end of the foundation phase for the hypopressive training method, but it's not the end of my journey. I'm really curious to see how this continues and how this kind of training can support my recovery in a new way, and also going into new pregnancies and new postpartum periods, and then old age, hopefully. So if you're in a similar place, postpartum, or navigating prolapse, or just feeling disconnected from your body, I'd really love to hear where you are in your journey, and also if you've had any cool results you want to share. And if you're curious about hypopressive training, this series is made in a collaboration with Hypopressive Training Norway, or The Reset. I've added more info in the description below, along with my discount code LEK, which gives you an extra amount of money off the course. Now, full transparency, I do receive a commission if you use my code. It is, however, the cheapest you will get the course, but nevertheless, everything I've shared here is based on my real life experience. Over 12 weeks training in my living room. So I really want to thank you for following this part of my journey, because this marks the end of this chapter. It has been quiet work, but really important work. And what started out as an attempt to fix my body after birth became something else entirely, I would say. It became more of a way of rebuilding trust in my body. So I want to thank you for being here through this part of my journey, and I will see you in the next chapter. Bye!